Perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Everybody can see my screen, correct? Okay, perfect. Awesome. So first things first, I wanted to go over here is since we're going over our stock, I just want to briefly kind of go over our warehouses here. So these are things where we can, set locations to different warehouses. We have some people where you don't have to have physical warehouses to put them as a warehouse within AltheaSuite. So we have it where you can kind of set this up where if you have one big warehouse, you can start setting different locations for them. We have one account that uses this where they have one big warehouse and they have like section one, section two, section three. It's very helpful to do that in the sense of then you know where your product is all the time and what particular area. So it might be helpful for your warehouse people as well. So another thing we also have is that if you have an online store that you want to keep stock of separately from from everything else, then you can create a warehouse for that online store. We have a couple people who use our Shopify integration. And they don't want all their products on their website. And with our Shopify integration, Shopify only allows us to merge with one warehouse within there. So it's kind of nice to have that one online warehouse so you're not kind of intermingling all that different stock there. But as I continue, so there's a couple things that you can do within your warehouses. First, you could always modify these and change the name. So that's really nice. You can modify them, change the little address, and then you'll notice we have our Shopify integration down there as well. So that's just for people who have a Shopify website. And then you can go ahead and label your warehouse to a certain business location so that it always defaults no matter where you are, to that location here. You can also make your warehouses inactive. So if you have a storage unit, let's say, and you no longer want to pay on that storage unit, then you can just make these inactive and make a new one and continue that stock there as well. So that was the first thing I wanted to go over here. You can also go ahead and when these warehouses, like I said, inactive, change the names. It's just kind of nice to have that location here. And like I said, you can assign your separate business locations. Oh, another thing, I know I talk really fast and I apologize for that. So I'm going to try to slow down just a smidge. But if anybody needs me to slow down, please, there you go. Someone just said that. I will slow down. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go to products here. And this is the main one here where you can see your stock. This is really nice that you can see your stock in your item manager because you can bring your item manager to your orders tab if you have orders in AltheaSuite or your sales. This is what you'll bring up when you have that little line in invoices here by clicking that browse button. Essentially, that's that horizontal button with the three dots. It's kind of like the sister to your context menu here. This is your context menu, is that vertical three lines, dots here. There's a lot of things that you can do from here. So just briefly, right now I am clicking on the All Items tab in my item manager. So that's just going to bring everything up here that I possibly have. I also can break it more down to my categories. And this particular account, I don't have many products in my different categories. But if we look here, this is what I wanted to show you today. Is you can see that this starts off as the quantity here. So that's 62 total that you have. And then it also shows you the pending fulfillment quantity in orders. So if you put this product on an order within AltheaSuite, you'll get this, what's it called, column here. And you can also click this little question mark and it'll show you exactly where all of this goes. It's going to list every single order that you have right here. What's nice about this as well is that these are all hyperlinks. So if you're just in your item manager and want to see this, you can just click that hyperlink and it'll pull up that order that's pertaining to those products. So that's really nice when you're like, oh, I don't know how many orders I have. You can also filter this within your orders, but if you just kind of want to see where all your products are, we can do that as well. Perfect. And then I'm going to continue here. So that's really nice. This question mark is throughout AltheaSuite. It helps us not make our system as slow. So it's like, oh, I want this to show up. I'm going to click it. So there's that as well. And then you will see the available quantity here. We'll also see the different quantities in your PO as well as your quotations. So again, with that question mark, you can see what's arriving in your POs. It looks like there's 20 of these arriving in a purchase order, different purchase orders it looks by the question mark here. And I can see exactly what that purchase order is. No matter if it's a back order or a drop ship PO or just a regular purchase order, you'll be able to see it right here. And then you can see exactly what you have within each of these. What's kind of nice about this is that you can view it. So there's a difference between our modify mode and our view mode. So this is just, you can view it. There's a couple things that you can potentially change in here. You can send an email from the screen. You can also print as well. But if you're going to kind of try and change anything in here, you're going to want to go into that purchases module and go in there. Perfect. So that's my first one. I like the item manager, but it's not the main way that I would recommend looking at your stock. So if I am going down here, I'm going to go ahead and actually go into my inventory module here. So I'm going to go to the left, and these are all that involve your inventory: stock, awaiting stock, stock transfers, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the best way, in my opinion, to see your stock. This will help you filter by those particular warehouses as well. So there's a couple things that are really important on the screen that I want to show you very briefly. So to the left here, you have all your warehouses. So this is going to say all your products within all your warehouses and combine them. Until I start putting filters on everything, it's going to show me all of the products in here. But if I go to the top and I say do not show zero stock, it's just going to show me all the products that I have stock of. It's not going to show me everything within my product cataloged here. So once I have this do not show zero stock on, I can come to the left and hit the different warehouses here. That'll show you only the stock within those warehouses. So I have this Bellevue location here, or warehouse, I should say, and this Seattle location. And you can notice that if I had different ones in here, they would change, but you'll notice that the quantities change. So in my Bellevue location, I have about 6 of these TVs. And then in my Seattle location, I have about 45. You can also see that dependent on the warehouse, you might have different POs and different orders going on through that. So people usually, tie different warehouses to their business locations, or they tie it into, like I said, locations within their warehouse. You just have to be really cognizant when making your purchase orders to put it in the correct way, I should say. So you're putting it in the correct warehouse. So like I said previously in that item manager, you get a couple things that are the same here. I can see that my pending quantity is 43 within all of these orders here. You can also see those due dates. So it's going to tell you that these are native, how many, what they're due in the order. That due date you'll find in the top left corner when you're creating an order. It's like one of the first things. It automatically selects the due date as the date you're creating that order. So if you would like that to change, that is a manual setting that you would need to change. Then it'll show you this pending delivery quantity. This is for orders or sales. We have it set up where you can deliver before you invoice. If that's part of your workflow, we could definitely talk about that and add that in there as well. If not, you can also, this will show whether it's pending delivery for orders or pending delivery for your sales invoices. Another thing, like I said, arriving in POs, that's going to be the same. You look here in that can be made quantity. These are for BOMs. So if you have multiple BOMs in here that you want to make, Althea will actually take your stock of all those different products that create that BOM and tell you exactly how many can be made of that certain BOM here. You can also scroll to the right. There's a couple more things that you can see. You'll see that last purchase price up here, that sales price, your preferred supplier, as well as the category that these products belong in. Perfect. And then you can go ahead and keep scrolling to the right and see all these conversion factors. You can also see the maximum quantities that you guys set in here. Oh, excuse me. And then the simple name. One brief thing that I'm sure we all know is that you guys can easily change your columns by just going to this little grid menu and coming in here and switching up your selected fields here. So if you're tired of scrolling all the way because you want to know the simple name, please just rearrange your grids, and you can also set that as default. Another really important filter up here is to do not show negative stock. So in Althea, if you're creating an invoice and you do not have stock within the system, it'll show up as negative here. So you can see that if you do not want to show negative stock, it's just going to show you all the ones that are positive and then you do have stock of. If you also, wanted to know every single one that you had to order, there's obviously different ways that you can do it within orders and invoices. But if you're just looking at your stock, you could say show negative stock only. In this particular account, I don't have any, but it would obviously pull up that filter with that show negative stock only. And then you can perform a stock correction if you do have stock or to order that product for that customer there. There's a couple other filters that you could do in here. This is really nice. If you guys have assigned your preferred suppliers or we've assigned them for you, you can also filter by that preferred supplier as well. So you could just know all those products for Whirlpool that you have in your system here, and then it'll pull up exactly the stock that you guys have in that. You can also come up here and do a couple other filters. If you wanted to see by category, which one you had stock of, I'm actually going to clear that filter so everything pops up. If you wanted to see by category, you can come in here and just click on the different categories. And depending on the filter that you have, it'll just show you what those products that you have are. It looks like my services, since my services don't collect any sort of inventory unless they're a non-inventory item, and then you'll see that up here, as well as the warranties. You guys obviously don't have stock of warranties, but appliances and furniture here I have in this account. Then you'll be able to use that do not show zero stock and pull that up. Perfect. I just want to make sure that I'm getting through all of my points here, as well as, okay, so this is your stock. This is my recommended way of seeing this particular, your stock in your system. Now, we also have it on the product module as well. Like I said, that's your item manager. You'll be able to pull that into an invoice here. Sorry, I'm looking over. Someone's trying to join. Okay, one of the big things I did want to touch on today is stock transfers. So here's our stock transfer little module here. There's a couple things that I would like to note off the bat is that you'll notice that you can also keep this stock within transit. So there's a particular setting that you can turn on within Althea where you can create a new stock transfer. And you'll get these buttons here and you will select your warehouses. So let's say I wanted to transfer one product from the Bellevue location to the Seattle location, and I wanted to keep that stock in transit. Essentially, if you give your warehouse people access to AltheaSuite, then they can, instead of having, to print those different, I have one customer who likes to just print the orders and then mark which one they want to highlight to transfer, since they didn't want to give their people access. But if they did, then they would just come in here, make sure that this item is set to keep in transit, and then they can select an item from one warehouse to receive to the other. If I'm going to go ahead and scroll up here and just go ahead and pick one of those products from one warehouse to the other so we can see how it looks here. So perfect. I'm transferring from the Bellevue warehouse to the Seattle warehouse. I'm just splitting two screens on here. That's what I recommend you do. This little split button on the top right corner will make sure that I don't get logged out when I'm clicking in between my tabs. It's just so AltheaSuite knows that, oh, okay, it's still you. You're still the one doing this transfer here. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this TV here. And now, like everything else, you can scan this SKU if you'd like, or you could just come in here and put that in there, that SKU in there as well. You can also pull up your item manager in here as well. This looks the same as with your invoice and your order. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this 3 columns here, and I can pull up my item manager as well. So I can see, appliances, furniture, services, et cetera, et cetera. Another thing I also want to say right here is that this is the quantity for all of your warehouses. You can come up here and every item has a little ledger as well. You can see if you go to that context menu, again, that's going to be your best friend as well. So I'm going to come in here and you can see that stock ledger as well. So you can pull up and you can really see exactly what stock in you have and what stock out you have. You can also filter by warehouse. So if I go to that Bellevue location for this particular TV, it looks like on July 15th, I got 25, and then my running total was 6 here. So it looks like there was some stock corrections in coming in. Perfect. And then you'll just be able to see that count and that running total as you continue. You can also scroll to the right and see that document number that these stocks were attached to. So you can come in here. You can also select a date range if you'd like. If you only want to see your monthly, stock in, stock out, you could just come in and say this month it's going to go to August, but maybe I want to see last month. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that date range. And it looks like I only had, July 15th and July 1st here. Okay, so this is your stock ledger. I found that by going into the item manager in here and viewing that stock ledger. You can also view this within your item manager. You don't have to view this within that certain transferred document here. But I just wanted to show you that real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and click X. So just to reiterate, that split page is going to be in the top right corner here. So that'll open a new page in AltheaSuite. Just looking at a couple questions to the side here. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this stock transfer. So by highlighting this keep in transit, mind you, this is a setting that is set up within your account. So if this is something that you are interested in, you can email us and we can show you exactly where that setting is. And I'm just going to do one of these. You can see here that it automatically puts that transfer quantity as 1. I can change this whenever I'd like to where it looks like I have available 6 within this warehouse and I can transfer over. So I'm going to go ahead and hit 2. What also is nice about this is that if you had a ton of items that you wanted to scan, you can actually put them within an Excel and we can upload them straight to AltheaSuite here. You can also, so that's really nice for the Excel. And then otherwise it'll just load all those items. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit save here. And you'll see that this status is going to go in transit. So when it comes to your warehouse people, all they would need to do on their end is come look at stock transfers, see what needs to be transferred, and then come here and they can, complete transit here. So they would just complete the transit. You'll see that the highlighted button has now changed from keep stock in transit to receive transit. And I'm just going to click add all items button. So like I said, they can come in and just skew those. They can also just receive all items, make sure that add all the items in here, and then they would hit save. Now that transfers from transit completed and now received from transit. So those are just statuses and something that you can do. If you do not want to do that transit setting, you just would keep that setting off. You wouldn't have to click the button and it would just automatically transfer to that warehouse here. So I have about 11 minutes before we can fully ask questions here. And what I really wanted to go over is our stock reports. So I'm just going to show you real quick how you can get to your reports, which I'm sure, again, everybody knows, but just for. So I'm going to go to my business intelligence here and pull down reports. And these are all our stock reports that we offer. Note here that you can read exactly what these stock reports have within them, but I'm going to go ahead. I have a document pulled up here to kind of pull up exactly the ones that we recommend and what might be nice for you to look at. So first things first is opening stock with COGS. This report shows you obviously the COGS details with the items of your opening stock. So this is just for you to kind of make sure when you're going live with us that everything that you have, in your previous software matches with us and that the COGS are correct. So we just obviously, and you're not going to pull opening stock a ton after, you go live, but when you initially do, you can see what your opening stock has got here. It'll show you that SKU of that item, the item name, the opening stock that you went for, the unit COGS, and the total COGS here. Next report is current stock at hand by warehouse. So this is a report that's really nice. We recommend it for people who just like to hold on to paper. But this really is just showing you exactly what that stock page is showing you here. Also, what's nice about this stock page is that it's in real time. So anytime someone makes a transaction, anytime someone puts in a new product or new PO or any sort of document within your system, this is automatically going to update. Where this report, if you pull it, the day before, you're not going to see real-time updates, but we do have it for people who do just like to hold on to something. As I continue, you'll also see dump stock corrections in your correction date. This will show your stock correction details of the selected items, or you can do all of your items. You can also set a date range for this particular one. So you'll see here that it's going to show you the warehouse. It'll show you that document number of the particular stock correction. You can also see what exactly happened. So that dump stock refers to the stock where, we don't know in Althea what happened to it. So for instance, if you're coming in and doing stock corrections, Althea needs to put that stock somewhere. So we put it in our stock correction warehouses. So if you just wanted to know exactly kind of what happened between for those stock that you corrected, that'll come into this dump stock quantity. So you'll see that system stock, that dump stock, and then it's going to tell you that COGS and total COGS of everything and how it's switched within AltheaSuite. So stock corrections are very common, and I understand that people want to see potentially, if they had 3 lawnmowers and one of them got stolen, they want to see, what that dump stock looked like and, how that affected their unit cost here. So that's when I recommend if you're having a lot of either theft within your or having a lot of let's say people are inputting wrong, inventory. This might be nice to see what's consistent in that report as well. So the next one is the item and warehouse wise stock on date. So we can see exactly, what the SKU is here. Sorry, it's a little blurry, but you can also pull this report within your system and see it a little better. I'll just zoom in so we can see the blurred image here. So we can see exactly what's in what warehouse. And just note that stock correction is not considered in this. It's just going to show you that final total quantity and what's within each warehouse. Again, you can easily see this by filtering this, but if you wanted to see both of your warehouses for this instance, it's two at the same time in each quantity, you can do that as well just to pull that report. Also, you can see here your received stock in detail. So you'll be able to see what you've received for that as well. Stock at hand at warehouse. You'll be able to pull this again. I would just highly recommend just looking at your particular stock inventory here on the sides. Stock at hand with serial numbers. So that would be really nice to look at here. So you can see exactly the warehouse name it's in, the SKUs, as well as those serial numbers. So this is a report that you can pull. But what I wanted to show you in here as well is that if you are a company that does use serial numbers, we actually have a whole serial number module within your account. So this is where you can see all your different serial numbers that you put in here. Now, I think the main things that are really nice here is that you can come up and filter these by warehouses. And so it'll just show you everything within my Bellevue warehouse. You'll also see where that serial number has been created and then the status is here. To reiterate, there are 3 different statuses within Althea for serial numbers. There's in hand, there's out of hand, and there's committed. In hand means that you have it, it's in your warehouse, you didn't assign it to any other customer, it's just sitting there ready to be sold. Out of hand means that it's already been given to a customer, you've settled the delivery, you've completed the order, you completed the invoice, it's out of hand, it's not with you anymore. And then there's committed. So committed is a status for your serial numbers for if you've put it on an order for that particular customer or you've put it on a sales invoice for that particular customer. Mind you, that committed status, you can assign that serial number to different orders, different sales invoices. And if you committed it to one and you want to change that serial number to be committed to another, it'll just take that serial number from the first customer and just remove it and put it to the second. So you will have to go back and assign a different serial number for that original sales invoice or order that you assigned that serial number for. Otherwise, then you can just leave it, but you can have it so that that committed status is still on there. As I continue here, what's really nice about this little feature is that you can see a couple things in here. You could see the purchase number that you have. If this was opening stock, it won't say a purchase number because it obviously didn't come from a purchase within Althea. You'll be able to see that purchase date here, the supplier, and your purchase price here. You can also see with your little filters if we want to see any ones that have a BOM assigned into it, or you want to see any that have a fixed warranty, which is that your extended warranties. You can also see ones that have manufacturer's warranty in here, or what they're a part of a combo or a group. You can also see which ones are non-taxable. So these are just kind of item attributes that you can filter by. You can also filter by if you just want to see all of your not in hand serial numbers. It doesn't look like this particular account has sold any, but that's okay. All of those would come up here, and I can also filter by what's in hand. I can also see if I wanted any of those have been committed to a sales invoice. Those would pop up here as well. And then these filters, you can show system numbers, show final modes here. You can also show the different parent serial numbers, depending on if you have BOMs with the serial number altogether versus the child. Another thing you can do within the serial number manager is change it here by just clicking into that context menu, one of your best friends within Althea, and hit change. Then you can just click into the serial number. Oh, they forgot a 3 here, and you can just add that. Perfect. And now it'll go ahead and update in your system. It's already going to be tied back to that SKU. And since Althea knows exactly where it potentially came from, it'll just update where within the documents within Althea as well. And then another thing, so this context menu gives a lot of different things. You can update this serial number, and you can also leave notes as to why you updated it. You rename, replace, that's something you can do here as well. You can also come into this context menu and view any comments that anybody has made in regards to this serial number. So if something happened to it, if it was moved from the sales floor and that's why it was scratched and dent, different things that you can do just so that everybody can see that particular serial number. You can also, if I want to see stock of this particular item, I would go to that context menu and show stock. This is also something that you can do within your orders and invoices by clicking that context menu on the line item as well. This is what it'll look like. You'll come here, you can see Seattle and Bellevue. You'll see Seattle has 40, Bellevue has 22 for this particular table. You'll be able to see if they had any pending POs that you need. You can also see any stock requests that people have pulled up, any in transit that you have. So that in transit stock transfer, you'll be able to see that. And then if it's on any pending order. So it looks like right now that this one is on order number 6, and I can see that by just looking here. I can also click into the context menu and view this order if I'd like, just so I could pull it up real quick and just kind of see if they ordered anything else on here, including that table. So you could just, click out of this and then it'll go back. You could click out of this and then it'll exit. So those are just fun little things that you can do for your stock corrections. This is the last thing I'll touch on today, and I'm going to go a little bit longer than me speaking, and then I promise I'll answer questions. Stock corrections. So this is obviously, if you do not have the right stock within Althea and you would like it to correct, you can come in and create a stock correction. So you'd come in, like I said before, it looks similar to a stock transfer, where you can either scan those products in or just pick from your item manager here of what you would like to move, or move, I should say, what you would like to correct. So for instance, let's say that I actually only had 72 of these. So I would say my system stock, and I would say it's actually 72. And so that missing stock, like I said previously, is going to go into your dump stock warehouse here. And so part of your dump stock column on the report that I showed you previously. I can also write little notes in here as well. If I wanted to add another item, I would just come up here and add items. You can also do a full inventory refresh if you'd like within the system. It's really easy to go ahead and put it on an Excel. So you could import items here, put it on an Excel. And what we recommend is opening up an Excel sheet and clicking into that first cell and just start scanning. It doesn't matter if you scan the same SKU 10 times. Our system will register that that's obviously 10 of your stock, and it'll put it in here and it'll say, your actual stock is this, if you go in once you upload that Excel sheet. You can also grab our template from AltheaSuite. If you did not want to just open a random Excel, you can get this simple item text here. and it'll have a field for your SKU, your item name, if you have a search code, and then what the actual stock is. So it will download that, it'll have our template up there, and then that template will go ahead and automatically upload within AltheaSuite. You can also reach out to our support if you went in and you did your Excel and you're just not comfortable importing those items. You can contact our support and we will definitely help you with that as well, just so you have the correct stock in there. I'm sure it's very important for everybody to see that. You can also see your item manager within the system as well here, just to see exactly what you're kind of looking at. So it pulls up your exact one if I click from the context menu here, and you'll be able to see that SKU, that name, the quantity that you originally had, how many you have on orders, how many you have arrive on POs, like I said previously. So it's going to tell you that real available quantity since you have, 40 ready to go, and then some pending here. But so if I did this system stock 73, actual stock 72, and then I would just need to make sure that my warehouses are correct. So since I chose the Seattle warehouse, it's going to automatically choose that Seattle stock correction warehouse here for you. So it's just going to go in behind the scenes. You can see these stock correction warehouses actually in your warehouse little module here. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And once it saves, it'll go ahead and load, and then it'll show up within that line item there as previously said. So it'll show, my system's being a little slow today. I apologize for that. But it'll be able to see exactly what that stock correction looks like and what it's doing there. It doesn't like how fast I'm clicking today. This is also a sandbox account, so this will not happen in your live account. This just means sandbox versus live. Your sandbox is your practice account. It's on a little bit of a slower server here. So that's what's happening to me today. So hopefully I didn't alarm anybody by the slowness. But I did go 3 minutes over, which is, expected. I'm a big chatter here. But do we have any questions? Anybody have any questions of what I went over?
Hey, Cameron, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Okay, good. I operated this thing correctly. I am kind of curious. So I run a little mattress store, and
Okay.
sometimes when we do an exchange, like somebody swaps out a mattress,
Hmm.
we will have it. We'll do the exchange on the invoice, and it'll automatically take that swap and bring it back into one of our warehouses.
Hmm.
It's really still in the customer's house. And so
Okay.
what we're trying to figure out, and we've set up a different warehouse kind of called like restock in transit. Like we put it into that warehouse, and then once my delivery crew goes and gets it,
Hmm.
then we move it again into the restock warehouse. Is there a better, I don't know if I explained that very well, but is there a better way to do that? Or because what
Mm.
we don't want to do is be able to, oh, we've got that one, but it's actually still in the customer's house. We don't want to sell it while it's in the customer's house at a discount
Absolutely.
to somebody else. So we're trying to figure out a way by which we can, know where that blasted thing is exactly at the moment. And I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it or not.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so you're selling a mattress, you're exchanging it for something else. You perform that exchange obviously before you have that mattress in your
Exactly. So they
your
come in
house.
and they swap it out for something else, and now
Hmm.
it's ours, but it's still in their house, and so we're going to go get it like about maybe a week from now,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So it has to exist somewhere so that we don't see it and think, oh, we can sell it to this other customer at a discount. We can't
Hmm.
sell it at it has to be
Hmm.
somewhere where we don't know that, so that we know we can't just sell it.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So as of right now, I do believe that your way is the best way, but I'm gonna definitely talk to my team and see if there's a way that we can put the exchange as so you can see it in transit so that you don't sell it before you do that, because I do understand that frustration, and yes, it does automatically go back in your system. So right now is the best way that you're doing it, but now that you brought that to my attention, I'm going to research and talk to my development team just the best way that we can innovate that certain problem so that it doesn't automatically go back in your stock, and we'll kind of depending on what they say, I'm hoping that there'll be some sort of button that we can have once you
It's really
confirm that.
not that bad of a way to
Okay.
do it.
Mhm.
It doesn't bother us. I just was,
Good.
I'm pretty new to this, Althea. I
Absolutely.
just don't know if that's the best way to do it in Althea. It
Yeah.
works for sure. So,
As of right now, yes, that is the workaround that we have provided for you. That would
okay.
be the way that I would do it, recommend for sure.
Just to piggyback off that, we have a
Absolutely.
similar, situations as well where we'll have an item in somebody's house that they're going to bring back, and then we are trying to figure out the best way to have our delivery guys, be aware that okay, the one they're going to have to pick up that item and bring it back.
Mhm.
So we've just been typing exchange on on the invoice or the order, but I didn't know, well, yeah, how other people were handling that, like just to alert the delivery guys that they are going to have to, take this new one and then pick up this other one to bring back.
You know what,
Absolutely.
we do on that? We write on the, we're using the calendar, right? And we write it on the little
Okay.
delivery ticket. Hey, you're picking
Oh,
up
okay.
Camellia
You're doing
Plush.
that on calendar. Okay. We
Yeah,
were
we're doing
having
it
an
on the
issue.
calendar, on the delivery calendar, so that they
Oh,
see it.
okay.
But then it's like on the invoice, it's got to go somewhere, and that's where we
Yes.
kind of. I think our dumb warehouse is called restock in trans. It's like good
Okay.
creative
Okay.
name.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. You know exactly what it means. That's
Okay.
amazing. Yes. I don't know who's particularly speaking, and I don't know if you use the calendar for your delivery,
We
but
don't. We were
we
having
don't.
an issue with using that, which we are going. I think it sounds like you guys have done some updates that maybe
We
will
have.
allow us to do that now. We just haven't got
Absolutely.
that going yet. So that probably will solve a lot of our issues.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you wanted to email us to set up a training so we can go over that
Okay.
calendar, that's
Yeah.
definitely something that we would be willing to do. It'll either be myself or one of my coworkers here, and we could definitely set something up with you to go over just kind of the calendar and depending on your account, which again I don't know who's speaking, but depending on your account and if it needs updates, we'll send that over to our development team and they'll make sure that it doesn't mess up any sort of documents within your account, and we'll get that updated so that you can kind of see it a little bit better there for you.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions here? Oh, I'm reading on the side. Um, let's see. Okay, we have our appliance store. A customer purchases an electric range and a power cord. They aren't sure if they need a 3 or 4 wired cord, but they purchase a 4 wire. They call us back to change the 3 wire. Althea will not allow us to do, wait, okay, will not allow us to do an exchange because the range on the sales invoice has a serial number. Is it possible for Althea to know the exchange on the non-serial item on the invoice versus the term? Hi, Terry. Are you putting those cords in separately for your items, or is it a separate line item, or are you creating a group within that initial electric range that you are selling?
It is a separate line
Oh,
item.
okay, so it is a separate line item. So when you're doing the exchange here, have you done, you could do an exchange, and is your cord serialized as well, or is it just the range?
The cord is not serialized, but the
Okay.
range is. And right
Okay.
now it's giving us a message that because the range has a serial number, because another item on the invoice has a serial, that
Oh,
it won't
interesting.
allow an exchange and only a return.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. And you've removed all the serial number items from the exchange. Does that make sense? So when you're
Yeah,
creating,
it doesn't even let you get that far. It
oh
doesn't
wow.
even let you, if you choose if you go to the dot, dot, dot and do exchange,
Hmm.
it gives you the message then.
Okay, so it won't even let you do it, obviously.
Right.
So you don't get this far to where you can come to this exchange invoice and remove products here.
Right.
Okay. Okay. That's definitely something I will look into. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. As of right now, I'm assuming you're just doing a sales return and then creating a different invoice for that new power cord. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's where we run into the issue because we really don't want to have two separate invoices because then
Okay.
what happens is the power cord just gets left off of the delivery.
Absolutely, absolutely. Have you completed an exchange within Althea other than when you tried to do this? Because it does kind of create an exchange invoice. So there are two separate ones within Althea when you do create an exchange. For instance, here we can do one right now.
So it's still going to create a separate invoice anyway.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, Okay.
So I don't know if that particularly solves your issue, which is sounding like you don't want it to have two different exchanges. I totally understand. You're working, I'm assuming, within an a sales invoice. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you have within your system modify invoice with keep existing payment by chance?
That's new.
Yes, it
So
is new, which we could definitely update your account and talk more about it.
it
But
might be there. I just got updated last
okay.
night. So
Okay.
let me
It
let
could
me
also
check
be,
that.
I believe it's a setting. But if it's not on, just let me know what account you're in. But right now we are very cautious about saying this. I don't love modifying invoices. It kind of messes up on the back end. That's why we do
Yeah.
exchanges and returns. But in order to not mess up on the back end, this is why we created that modify invoice with keeping existing payment. This will make it sure your financial transactions stay the same. So, depending on if that cord is a different price, I would still recommend doing that sales return, unfortunately, and creating a separate sales invoice. That's what our exchange will do previously. But if you modify while keeping existing payment, you can go in, add that other cord in here as well. And then you can go in and hit pay now, and it'll just keep that same invoice number for you. So, for instance, like let's say I went in and added a disposal fee in here for $14.99, right? So I have that Whirlpool refrigerator. They bought the extended warranty, and I have a disposal fee. Now, if I hit pay now, it's gonna already say that the existing amount that you've received from this customer is 2,921, and it's asking what to do with this 44.99 here. So if
What up?
you, oh, sorry, I don't know who's screaming at me, but
How the heck
so
are you?
okay,
I'm good, man. I'm listening to
sorry,
it.
let me mute this person. Okay, perfect. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here. So if you went in and let's say if it was more cool, they're going to pay in cash for this, then I'm going to save this without modifying that first initial transaction. Now we have this new thing. I don't think it's in this account, but I think you've heard of it before, what we call our customer goodwill. So we've actually made it so we can link it within our invoices now. I don't believe this account has it, but maybe if you want to talk, if that's more interesting to you, we can definitely talk about it in a meeting as well. But by modifying it and keeping that existing payment, it adds that same one in here. You can also go in and remove any product that you'd like. So if I modify, it's just going to keep that existing payment so that uh, you can keep that invoice in there as well and keep your financial transactions clean. Now, what you can do is then issue that return, that customer goodwill return, as we say it, for that extra. Let's say that one cord was less than that other cord, then you could just refund your customer just that particular amount, what we call that customer goodwill. You can call that discount anything that you would like. That's what we call it. But you could also call that different line item and then, do it that way as well. Does that make more sense, Terry? And maybe you want to look into that modify with existing payment?
Yes. Where do I
Okay,
find that setting?
that is a great question. I will have to look into it a little bit more. I would try general settings and invoice settings, probably your best bet. Right now, I could look at it. Let's see. Oh, yeah, right here. It's going to be in invoice settings, and it's going to
Okay.
be keep existing payments while modifying sales invoice.
Perfect. This
So
is
if,
this is the
uh,
solution to my problem. This is
yay!
perfect.
Oh, I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad. Of course, of course. So there you go. Hopefully that works for you. If you do not have that setting, let me know and we will get that in there for you so we can solve your issue. I have about 15 more minutes. Any other questions?
Cameron, I have a couple quick ones.
Absolutely.
On a transfer with serial numbers, can you transfer a specific serial number?
Yes,
Okay.
you can. So if those were serialized products, it'll pop up that window and ask you, which ones you wanted to transfer for where.
Okay, perfect. And then when it's in transit,
Mhm.
does that mean it doesn't show up in either warehouse?
Well, it shows up, I believe, in that first warehouse until you move it, but it'll show up like as in transit So it shouldn't show up to be able to sell for you, but
Okay.
if you pull up in your stock, you'll be able to still see it within that one warehouse here. But it'll say that little label of in transit if you scroll on those columns.
But I wouldn't be able to pull it to a sales order. So
No,
basically
no.
show unavailable. Okay, perfect. That's all I had.
Okay,
Thank
okay,
you.
perfect. Yeah, of course. So just to clarify, Brian, when you do put that item within a sales invoice, that serial number just like won't pop up within those options that you can assign.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, of course. Anybody else? Just throw them at me.
I just had a quick question about the
Absolutely.
modify with keep existing payment. So we
Okay.
do have that, and it seems like it's pretty limited as to when we can use it. Now, is there can be a monetary change, like where we're adding, right, but not subtracting. Is that correct? If we're subtracting, we have to do a sales return. Like if the money goes down, like say that they decided we're having to modify it for something that's less expensive, or they're like, sometimes we'll have a tax code input error and we'll have to change the tax code, and then the amount of money actually goes down, and then it doesn't allow us to do that. That's the way it's designed?
Okay, let's see here. So like for
So I
instance,
end up just having to modify the invoice instead of using modify with keep existing payment, which I guess kind of makes sense because the payment would be changing in some of those situations.
So like I just removed something and it's telling me that my existing amount is this. Okay, there's no pending. And if I hit save, oh yeah, cannot be greater than the invoice amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
Run into.
Yes. So what might be the workaround for that is you can perform, well, it's probably won't let you do a sales return then and modify with keep existing payment. Is that correct in the sense of, so
I mean,
if you went
I
in,
end up just modifying the invoice a lot of times, because a lot of times, our guys will put in the wrong tax code by accident, or and so we have a monetary difference. And so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you sorry, question, I don't know who's talking, but are you using our Clover integration? Are you using our Clover terminals or no?
We are using Clover. We don't have them actually integrated with the system right now.
Okay. So if you don't have them integrated with the system, then what I recommend, well, it won't keep the same invoice number, but if they didn't do the right tax code, you can always cancel and clone this invoice and then change it how you like. I just want to keep your financial transactions as clean as possible. And so if you cancel and clone, the cancel will reverse all those transactions and it'll clone that same exact invoice for you. You can change that tax and then just do it the correct way that you needed, with the correct payment mode, the correct tax, and all that. For those who are using our Clover terminals, I would not recommend this for you, only because when it comes to those tokens and saving those credit cards, it gets a little interesting. But if anybody uses Clover and wants to talk further on that, we can. But that's my recommendation, just to keep your books as clean as possible, is instead of modifying, canceling and cloning and just remaking that invoice.
And that just wipes out everything, all the information on that original invoice that we're canceling. So that's better than modifying.
Yes. The reason we don't like modifying is that if you wanted to see those mistakes, like we're basically resaving over the original, and the financial transactions get a little fuzzy, and just so when it comes to your books and you're pulling reports for your accountant or whoever you're showing, you'll see that, oh, this was canceled, this is why this is why we're missing that, and I created a new for that.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, I'm reading Fred's question. Is there a new or better way to transfer an item from one warehouse to another that has already been reserved for a customer? Okay, so Fred, when you say reserved for a customer, do you mean on a sales invoice or an order? Sorry, Fred, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but you can answer in the chat as well if you're still there.
What's the difference between a sales invoice and an order?
So we have an orders module. I don't know if you have our orders module. Our orders module allows you, it kind of holds that stock transfer. It'll show like pending quantity in orders for you. It'll still allocate that stock, but it won't actually subtract until you create it into an invoice. We can
Okay.
also now within our orders, you can deliver before you invoice, which people like. So if it's in that sales order, are you creating a back order PO or are you just assigning that serial number?
Hey, I'm sorry, I can answer for Fred. This is Terry.
Okay. Hi, Terry.
We use sales invoices.
Sales
So
invoices. Okay.
this scenario, he's got a serial committed to a customer on a sales invoice, and maybe it's in one of our warehouses, and we want to move it to our main warehouse so the delivery crew can pick it up, right? So it won't let us move it because it's committed.
Okay. Have you had it where in the sales invoice you're taking from that, you want to still take from that other stock? So what you could do is change that warehouse. Are you originally assigning it to the warehouse that you're in from? I guess like like
No.
no. No.
So
Okay.
it's kind of, so basically all of our sales invoices, well, normal process is the sales invoice gets created and it just assigns our showroom because we
Oh,
don't know where we're going to fill it from. We've got
absolutely.
20 something warehouses, you know,
Okay.
and so we don't know exactly where we're going to get it from. So it just says Marietta showroom on it. So
Okay.
then we sit down to look at inventory and we'll commit to, you know, let's just say that we assign a serial number that is currently in B3, right? So on the day before delivery, we'll want to move that serial from B3 over to our Marietta warehouse because we want to stage it for delivery. But we can't move it because it's committed. So we have to uncommit it, then transfer it, and then commit it from the new warehouse that it's in.
Got it. Okay. And you guys obviously want that committed. Okay.
I know
That
there's a way that we can, I know that on the delivery screen, we can pull it. I do know that
yes.
exists. Yeah, but I think that I think that there's other scenarios too where sometimes they move it even though it is committed, and they're not trying to pull it for delivery. So I think that's what he's talking about.
Okay. Okay. So you guys do just get an error of like, you can't move this. It's committed to an invoice. And on your invoice, you're assigning it to the warehouse that it's in, not the warehouse you want it to be in. Correct?
Correct. Yeah. And because you're
Okay.
actually picking the cereal. So it kind of just assigns the
Yes.
warehouse for you. So we just
Yes.
want to move the location of that cereal. And of course that means that you know, it has to update the invoice and everything as well. I know there's a lot of transactions behind that.
For sure. That is definitely something I can look into. I don't think we've had that test case yet, but this is perfect. And this is why we're having those meetings. So we can get feedback from our customers and just make it so that it makes sense for everybody. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it
Yes,
just doesn't
please.
even let you pick that serial number. So if you go in to do a transfer, it's only going to let you pick serials that are in hand. It's not going to let you pick serials that are committed.
Okay. So I will definitely talk to my team and see if that's something that we can make doable. I don't know how hard or how easy that'll be, but I'll definitely take that back to my development team because that makes sense. And having you explain it, I'm sure they'll be, you know, even happier to help with that out. But thank you for bringing that back to my attention. And I have wrote a note on that, and I will talk to my development team
Yeah.
to see if there's a better way we could do that.
I know it works on the delivery screen. So you can
Yes,
do
it
it
does.
there, and you can it'll just pull it to the sales order invoice, to the sales order
Yes.
warehouse.
Yes.
But I think what they want to do is just be able to do it in the transfer screen.
And so they don't have to wait until delivery to assign that invoice. That makes sense. Then you can also just like make sure that everything's lined up and happy, and so you don't have to do it on delivery. No, that totally makes sense. I will take that to my development team and see the work we need to do in order to be able to move committed serials for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Andrea, do you have a question? Hello? You still there? I'm just looking for any other questions. I have about 5 minutes, and then I will hop off here. But just to kind of reiterate that Chrissy, it looks like in the chat, is going to, whoever put their email, you'll get this recording. We're also eventually going to put all of these on the website. So you'll be able to go look at our AltheaSuite main website, and there will be a page that says, webinar, past webinars. And we'll say like what we go over in the dates or something along those lines. I'm hearing myself. Perfect. I have about 4 minutes, Mickey, but so I could go over in the sense of you can look at your inventory right here and see, oh, my microphone isn't working. Oh no, my microphone. Can you not hear me? Hello? Still there?
Hi, yeah, I can hear you.
Hi. Oh, hi. Okay. Oh, her microphone isn't working. Okay. And then is there a way to have prompts when creating a new invoice stepwise when checking someone out? When you say prompts, what do you mean by prompts? Like you want to have your excuse me, your salesperson ask a few questions and potentially add line items? Or yeah, when you say prompts, I just want to know exactly what you mean by that, because we have a couple things that we can do as well. So one thing that I'm thinking of when you say prompts is where we have what we call linked combos. Essentially, that just has a pop-up menu that reminds reminding to ask for email, customer name, card delivered. Oh, okay. So when it comes to, we can have pop-ups to where you ask for the line items. Here, I believe in sales invoices, we can make a couple fields mandatory, whether that comes from email, customer name. So usually in a sales invoice, you can't go into pay now until you add, or you can go into pay now, but you can't pay certain modules without assigning that customer. Also in the setting, you can make it, I believe, mandatory to have that customer name at least added. In regards to the email, right now we do not have a setting that prompts them to have an email in there. But if you guys are checking this box here, if I'm creating a new sales invoice and I'm gonna send the customer an email. If there's no email added, here, let's see for about. So if I email this customer, if there was no email here, then it should give you a pop-up as well to say we can't email this because there's no email there. So there's that prompt. And then customer name, card delivered, etc. Cash or card, I assume that when you're hitting pay now, oh, please accept one item. Cash or card, when they're going to that pay now screen, is it not having this, you want a pop-up here that says, you can't add the card, or are they asking the way they're paying? So I hope that kind of answers your question there, Andrea. If it did not, if you send us an email, we can definitely get back to you on that. But that's what I'm kind of thinking as of right now, at least in regards to that email address. I obviously won't send an email. You'll get an error if you do that, if there's no email address. And then we can, for delivery, there's this thing we have called linked combos, where you can set up and it prompts people to ask the questions that you would like. Sorry, I thought there was another question. It can ask the questions that you like. So for instance, I don't know if there's any combo groups in here, but you'll have it to where you create this combo group, and let's say that this is delivery, and on the display name you can say, would you like this delivered? Payment. Oh, it's letting us process a payment without a name. We can email. I think we're hoping for a pop-up prompt, so it's hard to explain. Okay. So I do believe that there is a setting to at least not make it so that you can go and create an invoice without a customer. So Andrea, if you let me know what account that's in, I can go take a look for it. In regards to that email, I'll definitely look into that as well and see if we can, if it doesn't have an email added, have a pop-up that says, you've checked this box, please add an email. So that warning can happen. But yes, please send over your account details in the sense of who you're with and what account needs to be changed. And then we can go ahead and take a look into that.
Cameron,
Absolutely.
This is Terry. I was just
Hi,
gonna
Terry.
to add on a possible solution on that one.
For sure.
I think there's a setting that, first of all, that you have to have a customer on the invoice. And then I
Yes.
think there's a customer setting that you have to have an email for the customer.
Yes. So
So
that
maybe if you
definitely
use those
does
two in
work.
conjunction, they won't even
Absolutely.
get to the point where they can have an invoice without an email.
Absolutely. And that could work for the future for sure. If you add a customer, they definitely need to add an email. I'm just concerned that in the past, like we're not going to, create all these errors for you if you have, however many customers within your system. But I do agree there is a setting that you can have in your invoice to make the customer mandatory. And there is a customer setting where if you go to customer settings here, you'll see that email address is mandatory. Now, this is only mandatory when you're adding it to that customer. Like if you're adding a new customer, it won't allow you to move on unless you have that email address. In regards to past customers, if you're adding it onto an invoice and you're checking that email to a new customer, I can see why you would want that prompt of, it doesn't have an email, so you're not just failing. But highly recommend making it mandatory for these emails to pop up for your customers as well. You could just hit apply here. And then in those invoice settings, I believe it's in invoice settings, it'll say like make mandatory for adding a customer here. If it's not in invoice settings, it'll probably be in general settings. I am hopeful soon that I can make our developers create a search bar in here, but I couldn't give you a timeline on that. But trust us, it does inconvenience our lives as well as yours. So we're definitely on that side. Unfortunately, I do have to come to an end. I do have another meeting here, but please come to the next training. That will be next Thursday, same time. We'll pick a new topic. Our lovely manager, Christy, will send out an email to you as well. And then you should, if you're in implementation, get a personalized email from your implementation specialist. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for coming. I apologize for talking too fast. It was my first time, but I will get better at it, I promise. And this recording will be emailed to those who requested the email. And then I will let everybody know via that email that when we have uploaded the past ones onto our website. So you can look at those as well. Again, thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you next Thursday. Bye.